Today's guest is a professional eater and YouTube star from Wisconsin in the US. Together with her partner, Randy Santel, she travels all over the globe tackling, and more often than not, absolutely dominating huge restaurant challenges. Please give a massive Koit welcome to Katina of Katina Eats Kilos fame. Hi Katina, and welcome to KoitCast.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
It's going amazing for me today. Look, thanks ever so much for coming on. Your time is appreciated. Let's just jump straight in. I read from your website that you started off as a bodybuilder. What's the story there for yourself?
Yeah, I did. So back in 2019, I participated in a bodybuilding show in about April of 2019. And I really wanted to do like women's physique, which is like the more, I guess, like muscular, thicker density muscle sort of bodybuilding show. So I had to diet down really, really hard for that while also doing a whole bunch of obviously strength training as well. So during all that, I'm sure this will all kind of tumble into the topic moving forward. I was watching basically like people eating on YouTube because I couldn't eat myself. And that kind of steered me down this path of like thinking, I feel like I could eat as much as these people online are eating. And I did my bodybuilding show and I came in 5th place. I was pretty small on stage. These girls, will just say, weren't they were on some special sports supplements, we'll call them that, and I was not. So I didn't really know that. I was pretty naive, but I wanted to get like bigger and more jacked, so I wanted to put on weight. And so I was like, let's just do a food challenge that would lead to obviously some gains. And decided to take a camcorder with me after that bodybuilding show, and the rest is history. I found the food challenge pretty easy and moved on from there.
That is amazing. Now, I discovered your content via the old YouTube rabbit hole, you know, where everyone does like you did with the food stuff. Who can you guess is the foodie that I stumbled across? Who do you reckon it was?
I'm gonna guess Beard Meats Food.
Yeah, now why is it that? Why is he the main man that gets delivered by that algorithm?
Well, probably number one, because you're in the UK, but number two, he's been doing content for years and years. He was actually one of my inspirations for how I edit and format my videos as well. I think he just has a really good style and good, I guess, TV personality. So I think that contributes to it. But yeah, the fact that you're in the UK, he's in the UK, it probably all kind of comes together in your algorithm.
Yeah, well, I discovered him, and then that led me to you via the algorithm. I'd obviously watched Randy's videos, Joel, and then this guy called Rate My Takeaway. Have you seen those videos?
Yeah, he's really funny. I think Danny
Yeah,
is, yeah, funny.
lovely chap. Anyway, let's get right into the topic at hand. Professional eating. So what is a professional eater, i.e. what do you do?
Basically, I love to make the distinguishing statements that a professional eater and a competitive eater are two different, I guess, genres. So a professional eater is somebody who, number one, makes a living from eating food. And number two, I kind of also classify that as somebody who goes out and takes on challenges set forth by a restaurant. So they'll give you a quantity or a portion of food that has to be completed in a certain time limit. Whereas competitive eating, you're up on a stage, you're going against other eaters, racing to see who can eat something the fastest or eat the most of something in a set time limit. So there's like a bit of a difference there. I'm not going up against anybody except unless there's like a record or something that I need to break. It's just me versus the restaurant, or really just me versus me, just trying to set a good time that I'm proud of.
Fair play. And then obviously you, as part of that, you versus the food itself.
Correct. Yes,
Because that is a
absolutely.
nemesis, isn't it? By the
It
looks of
sure
some of
is.
the stuff.
Yeah, it really is. And I kind of like the fact that you said it's like me versus food. I always compare what we do to the TV show Man versus Food, which I know made
Mm.
it over to the UK. So it's just kind of like one of those things that like relating it back to a TV show is pretty easy. So what Man versus Food did, I would consider professional eating as opposed to competitive.
Yeah, and I used to watch that show quite a lot because it's highly entertaining. I know it sounds awful when I say this, but it's almost like that car crash thing, isn't it? Where you have to keep watching. It's that sort of
Absolutely.
feel. Yeah.
That is a perfect comparison, because there's a lot of people that are like fascinated. There's a lot of people that are horrified or grossed out. And there's like a lot of people that just kind of like find watching the food like really comforting and rewarding. So it's kind of interesting in that way.
Yeah, and I know this is going to sound gross, but you've seen that like Dr. Pimple Popper videos. It's the same
Yeah.
principle there as well.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm so revolted. I can't even like be in a room with like the audio playing of that. I just not my cup of tea.
No, I know it's different. You wouldn't want to eat the one versus you would want to eat yours, but you know what I mean. It's that, oh, I've got to keep
Oh
watching.
boy. Oh, that is, yeah, that's a can
That
of
is
worms.
gross. Yeah,
So
we'll move
gross.
on from that one.
Yeah,
Um, how long does it take from the first time you attempted a challenge, your first one, to the point where you can take on almost any challenge? I.e., how long did it take you to train your stomach?
That's kind of an interesting question because I'd say my capacity reached its limit probably only like a few months in, maybe a year in. Just takes a lot of practice. And then basically for me, I haven't pushed myself beyond that usual limit, which my limit is probably somewhere between 3.5 to 4 kilos. Usually, the most I've ever done is like a hair over 4 kilos of food.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that's kind of my limit and has stayed my limit. Now, right now, I'm detrained because I've been dieting for several months. So I probably have like a 2.5, 3 kilo limit. So it kind of just comes and goes. It depends on how often you're out doing these challenges, which keep you trained, or how often you're actively training with foods while at home, waiting for future challenges. So
Mm.
I'm actually about to start a new training cycle here coming up probably in about a month or so. I'm running out of all of my videos from my last summer tour and going to be starting to embark on food challenges again. So we'll see how training goes.
When was the last time you physically did one? Because I know you're still releasing videos. I just watched your Belgium one. What
Yes.
what is the gap that you've had there where you've been off?
So I think the last video I filmed there might have been mid-August, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Possibly, yeah, mid-August, I want to say. And so I've been off since then. I've only filmed one challenge. We'll call it a challenge of eating a lot of food. I did a collaboration with RP Strength, which is a Renaissance periodization, and we did the all-you-can-eat never-ending pasta at Olive Garden. And so
Mm.
that was the last thing I ate a lot of, and that was in November. So we're in February now, into February. And yeah, so it's been a lot of time off, which is much necessary. And we've also been moving house during that time as well.
Ah.
So it's been quite busy and releasing videos from over the summer. So that allows me to diet down because I do gain quite a bit of weight on these tours, which I
Hmm.
mean, it doesn't sound like a ton. I'll gain about 5 to 8 kilos, somewhere in that range, but that's a lot for someone who's only 5'2". So
Oh,
it,
crikey.
it shows quite a bit, and it basically like limits your hunger. The heavier you get, the less hungry you get, and then the more fat that's pushing down on your stomach, and
Mm.
your stomach can't expand. So I need to make sure I'm trim, lean, and healthy in between all these challenges.
Exactly. Ready to fire for the next one. Um,
Absolutely.
can you explain what drives your competitive nature? Obviously, you started with the bodybuilding thing or wanted to go down that route, and now the food challenges. What drives you there?
I'm always in for a good challenge. And if I believe I can do something, I like to prove it to myself and I guess the world that I can. So it's always fun, especially when I first started out, when not as many people like would recognize me. That sounded really conceited, but like when less people would recognize me going into a restaurant, it was kind of fun to go under the radar and just kind of play dumb and be like, yeah, I'll give that 6-pound burrito a try. Sounds like fun. And they'd be like, good luck. Like, you're
Mm.
not going to do that. I've seen 200-pound men fail this, da da da. And then just go in and then just wipe it clean and ask for dessert. That's one of the more fun parts. I love like the shock and awe. And I don't know, maybe I'm a bit of a showboater, but I really enjoy that. I think it's really fun. It makes for really good video content as well. Getting the shock and reaction if I'm somehow able to capture it on camera, that's just a lot of fun. I love kind of playing that kind of comedic line
No, I
there.
agree with you. I think when I stumbled across your channel, I it was your early content I watched, and that is what hooked me. Is that portion where you went in, everyone wrote you off, and then you destroyed them. And I like that side of things. Not in a horrible way, but you shocked them and turned the tables on it.
Right. Yeah. I never want to go in and do like anything like crazy, like negative or
No, no,
whatever,
no.
like crushed them or something. But yeah, it's fun to just like be competitive with it and kind of have a good laugh.
Yeah, take back my wordage there. You know, my intentions were pure, but my wordage was impure. Okay, so what was your first ever food challenge and did you dominate it?
Yeah, so the first ever food challenge I did was pretty tiny. And I mean, even by an average person's, appetite. I think most people could have done this challenge that I did. It was a place called Fat Burger, and they had a challenge called the Triple XL King Burger Challenge. And it's about, I would say, like maybe a kilo burger that you have, I think, 20 minutes to eat, and you get like a certificate. So I finished this triple XL King burger and then wanted dessert afterward. And I was just so hyped that I was able to finish it after completing a bodybuilding show and just being hungry for so long. So then I kind of went on to bigger challenges that I would call real challenges, because I kind of am disappointed that was my first one because it was so tiny, but I guess you have to start somewhere. So
There's always a start point. Your catchphrase, there ain't nothing to do it but to do it. Let's pull our hair back and get this challenge started. When did this kick in? When did it become your staple of your videos?
I can't even remember. I feel like I just started saying ain't nothing to it but to do it. Just like a phrase just to psych myself up. And then it started to tie into like I needed a minute to pull my hair back, like before starting the timer. So I started pulling my hair back, and then I would just like announce I'm pulling my hair back, and then it just kind of became a thing. And then I had a couple videos where I didn't pull my hair back, and people were like, "Where was your phrase?" And so I was like, well, "This is a catchphrase now," and it just kind of stuck. The same was saying "groovy t-shirt." The same was saying "okay, peace out, bye." They all kind of just started with jokes that kind of stuck, and people were like, if I didn't do it, they were like, "What happened? Why didn't you say anything?" Like, and so like I just thought it was kind of funny that some of these silly, really corny phrases really caught on.
Have you got any of them on a t-shirt?
No, I don't. I'd thought about doing a just kind of like a basic kind of silly t-shirt that said this is my groovy t-shirt, or something very basic, and that everybody that was part of the Kilo crew could have their own groovy t-shirt. But I never actually went into print with that. I would like to, maybe around the holidays or something. I think that'd be kind of fun, but don't steal my idea.
No, I won't. They're your phrases. You put them on t-shirts, you sell them. Good on you.
Yeah, yeah. I only have one t-shirt, and it just says Kilo Crew on it, and so you can just be part of the team.
On that basis, actually, I'm wearing this t-shirt in honor of you today. Bacon gives me a lard. It was not my choice. It was given it as a Secret Santa, but I wanted to wear it in honor of the food things. And also, on your Belgian video, you said something awesome earlier when I watched that. You said that you prefer English bacon over American bacon.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, 1000%. Here's the thing. I like that English bacon, or anywhere basically in Europe, is thick, almost like we would call a ham steak. It's like a thicker piece, and it doesn't get that charred, crispy. I hate crumbly bacon that like kind of falls apart in your mouth. Some people love crispy bacon in America. I think it tastes really, really bad. I'm not a big fan. Like, I'll eat it. I'll be like, bacon, but I don't really mean it. I really, truly like UK bacon, just rashers of bacon. It's so good.
Are you saying you like your bacon floppy? Or you like it? Oh, wow.
I like it to have just a little bit of like like a piece of pizza. Good old Brooklyn flop.
I'm on the crispy side, so we'll move on from that.
Okay.
It's the day of a challenge. Walk us through from waking to bedtime. What's your process?
This is going to surprise a lot of people, but the day of a food challenge, I wake up like normal. I have breakfast like normal size breakfast, because usually my challenges are in the evening. And then I use that breakfast to have a really good, strong lifting workout if I can. Sometimes while I'm traveling, I can't get a lifting workout in, maybe some push-ups. And then just do a lot of walking. I'll usually explore a city if I can while traveling, or if I'm kind of somewhere that I've already seen before, or I've been for multiple days. Or, excuse me, the weather's bad, I'll just walk on a treadmill, whatever I have access to, and just do quite a lot of cardio to get hungry. Otherwise, I mean, it's a normal day. I'll maybe get some editing done and then kind of shower up, get ready to head to a challenge, get my game face on. And usually by that point, I am super hangry and starving. Sometimes I'll even have like a small snack leading into the challenge, maybe at least 3 hours ahead of the challenge, I'll even have a small snack, just because I don't function well. My stomach, I've learned, kind of gets too upset to eat a lot if I'm too hungry. And I'm also a hangry person. And when we're meeting big groups of people that you've invited over, basically it's like inviting people over to a party. I have to pretend, or not pretend, but give off this pleasant vibe that I'm like not an irritable, hangry individual. So yeah, that's kind of key. So I noted that when I would go into these challenges too hungry, I wouldn't be very nice, like as nice. Like I would just kind of be like, hey, how's it going? Thanks for being here. Okay, I'm gonna go film now. Cause like I'm so hungry instead of like
Mm.
giving people the time of day that are excited to be there. So yeah, I'd rather be well filled.
No, I don't blame you. Thing is that hangry thing is quite common in people, isn't it? It's just part of the human condition, so
It is,
I
and I
shouldn't
don't,
blame
I
you.
like, I can't stand it because I'm like, I'm aware that I'm not myself. I'm like, it's just a little bit of hunger. I could manage this, but I'm like,
Mm.
so I'm like, I'm much shorter. I'm not necessarily mean. I'm just shorter, I guess.
Yeah,
Like I'll just
I
be like,
get it.
hey, how's it going? And then just move on instead of asking follow-up questions or asking
Yeah,
how
yeah,
their
I
day
know, I
is.
understand. Do you
Yeah.
get nervous on your days of challenges or not?
Sometimes it depends on the challenge. If I know that I'm going into a challenge that there's a good probability I might lose, I'm generally pretty nervous. Sometimes, though, there's a sense of peace in a challenge being so big that I don't think I'm going to win. It's just like, well, I'm going to go have some fun. And no matter what, if I give this my all, it should make a really good video. Because a lot of times people don't care if I lose. Like they're like, hey, you gave it your best shot.
Hmm.
The worst thing that happens is people are like, oh, you lost because you talk too much. Like that's like the meanest comment I can get. So it's kind of one of those things where if I lose, it's not a huge deal. It's usually if I'm really, really thinking I could come close to winning, that I'll really kind of get nervous. Basically, number one, that I can keep the food down when you're
Hmm.
getting to that limit, and number two, that I'm still able to put on a good show without it just looking like I'm miserable. So I think that's the most nerves that I get, because sometimes towards the end of a challenge, no matter how happy and you try to keep your demeanor, it's just you're so full and so miserable that it's written all over your face, and it's really rough.
So there's a
Really rough.
clear downside of your day-to-day job then, in that you can feel pretty crap for a lot of it.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'd say at least the first 5 to 6 hours after a challenge are usually pretty rough. So luckily we do these challenges in the evening. And when a lot of people come out and cheer us on, it's very good to have that distraction. So instead of just finishing the challenge, going home and feeling bad for yourself, you're taking pictures with people, you're signing
Hmm.
photos, you're working with merchandise, and just having like a good time if possible. And that really kind of keeps your mind off of the extreme discomfort that you're in. At the most, to kind of ease that feeling, it's just distraction, water, and keeping moving as much as possible. So that's about as much as you can do. And then by the time you go to bed, you're pretty full and miserable. And then wake up in the morning, it's like magic. Just sleeping is magic. I wake up in the morning and I feel great. I'm already ready for breakfast a lot of the time, to the point where I'm like almost hungry waking up. So it's kind of an interesting cycle of how you can go from being like miserably full to a good night's sleep, being like, oh, new
And it
person.
resets you, yeah. That's
Absolutely.
raised an interesting question then, about the sleep portion of that. Do you always sleep on your back? Because imagine if you slept on your stomach, would that like really hurt?
I actually don't often sleep on my back after a food challenge.
Okay.
I've learned to sleep on my left side. I read something, and I don't know whether this is true, but it was like some digestion thing where if you lay on your left side, that assists with digestion more than laying on your right side, just because of the flow of all your stuff. I should have fact checked this, but for me, it actually does work. If I lay on my left side as opposed to my right, I feel really good. And I usually sleep in like that little spoony position anyway. That's what I like to do. I squeeze a pillow and I just snuggle up on it. So yeah, I usually sleep pretty good like that. Sometimes if it's like a spicier challenge, I'll kind of sleep on my back with my head kind of propped up so that I'm not
Mm.
getting like GERD. If it's super close to bed, you can kind of really get that kind of refluxy feeling. But yeah, that's not super common. That's pretty rare to have to modify sleep habits.
That left side thing is quite interesting because I think there's something to do with vertigo as well. Whereas if
Hmm.
you're feeling sick through vertigo, if you lay on your left side, it's less than if you led on your right side. So there's something there with the brain, isn't there? And maybe
Yeah,
balance or something. I don't
the
know.
body is a fascinating, fascinating machine for
Very
sure.
much so. And obviously you've pushed yours from limit to limit, so you know
I
more than I
have.
would.
I have
Yeah.
indeed. Whether it's smart or not, I don't know, but it's been a wild ride.
Definitely a wild ride. And on that note, the travel side of things. Now, obviously, you don't only attack challenges in America. You've traveled the globe doing these things. Obviously, your last one is in Belgium. You've
Mhm.
done others all over the place. What was your favorite trip that you did abroad, and why?
Ooh, ooh, that's a tough one. This most recent trip, I really enjoyed all of the segments through Asia. I was completely in love with Asian food, Asian culture while I was over there. It was amazing from kind of like the Balinese kind of side of things, Indonesian, all the way over to Korea and Japan. I loved everything about it. Cambodia was amazing as well. So I really enjoyed that and kind of getting out of the comfort zone of just I guess like westernized culture. So getting out of that kind of westernized mindset and just experiencing something different. So that was a lot of fun. I specifically really enjoyed South Korea. Their food there is amazing. It's like a super fun culture. I compared Seoul to being like a living amusement park. So everywhere you went, it just was very clean. Everyone's happy and friendly. And the food is just phenomenal and fun. Everything's deep fried. There's cheese. They'll put ketchup on whatever, which is my bread and butter. So, I mean, I loved it. But let's see. One of my favorite food challenge trips, where it was just jam-packed food challenges, I really enjoyed Ireland. That was a really great, busy, and challenging food challenge schedule, but the food was awesome. The fans were amazing. I had no idea that we had so many people watching from Ireland. And it was just like a really good time. And there was some really fun, weird foods that we did. Like Pip's breakfast sandwich was amazing with like, I don't get the whole like y'all in the UK put baked beans on your breakfast. I don't understand it, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So like having baked beans on like a bun, what is it? Beans beans on baps or something like that. That's pretty
Yeah, it's
good.
always Baps. You
Yeah.
didn't? Did you try black pudding? Do you like black pudding?
I'm obsessed with black pudding. That was another reason I loved Ireland so much.
Yeah, it's big in this sort of area. I it sort of puts me off just eating a load of blood, but you know.
I think it's delicious. I mean, even a spoon's black pudding was pretty good to me, so I enjoyed it.
Good. Is there any food you hate?
Hate.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say hate now. I guess hate would be excessively spicy. Anything excessively spicy to where the point it's like unfun. It doesn't taste good. You just feel crappy after. It just induces pain. I would call that borderline hate. As far as like a food taste aside from spice,
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of raw red onions. I will eat them. It's a very odd thing with raw red onions because if they're like finely chopped in like a chicken salad or something, I'm totally fine with that. But if they're like in those big rings and you put them on like a burger, just totally raw, hate them. Think it's
Mm.
disgusting. Ruins the burger. They're spicy, kind of not spicy, but they kind of burny, like horseradishy.
Mm.
I think they're disgusting. I don't know. I hate them, but when you saute them or grill them, and I'm in love with a red onion again. So it's a weird world.
But that's all that's on your list of things you don't like, flavors you don't like?
Pretty much. There's
Wow.
really not much I dislike. I like prefer not to eat peanuts a bunch just because I don't think they taste that great. I hate that they get stuck in your teeth and they're a ton of calories. So those three things, like, but I'll eat them. Like I'll eat a Snickers bar, but it's not my favorite, Like I
Yeah.
don't know.
Wow. It's a wow from me because I'm one of those narrow palate people. Yeah. Through no fault of
Okay.
my own, it was just the way I was brought up. So I kind of look at people like you in awe that you can just eat anything that's put in front of you.
I love most foods. I mean, like I said, like even going to Asia, we had some really crazy foods like Cambodia. I was eating bugs
Oh,
and
whoa.
weird stuff, and I didn't mind any of it. Would I choose to go out and just eat crickets all the time? No, but I didn't mind it when I tried it. And like I had those little larva things that you see on like Fear Factor or
Oh,
whatever.
no.
Those were really good as well. They tasted like a roasted chickpea. I had fried rice that had ants in it as the protein source. I thought it was great. I really actually enjoyed it and surprised myself with just keeping an open mind. So yeah, I have a pretty open palate to most foods.
Well, it sounds like it. When you get into the bug territory and that, I would clearly draw the line there. No to
I
bugs.
normally would, but you got to keep an open mind. And it when you're watching everybody else just digging in, it's like, well, it's got to be okay. It's like one of those, if he's going to jump off the bridge, I guess I will too, sort of mentalities. Just go for it.
Fair enough. That is a nice, open, like you said, it's an open thing in your head to do. Well
Mhm.
played. Best food challenges you've ever completed. Now, obviously, we've talked about, or you talked about the best
Mhm.
sort of like places you've been abroad to do these challenges. But if we break that down into like three categories, like best tasting, best fun you had, and best performance, could you name those?
Ooh, that's a good one. Best performance, I'll have to save for last because I'll have to think on it while I'm talking about it.
Okay.
Um, But let's see, best tasting. I'm going to go with one that I have mentioned several times. So I apologize to listeners who are tuning into this and have to hear this again. But a place called Ugly Grouper in Anna Maria Island, Florida. They did it was like a 5, 6 course meal food challenge that just blew my mind. It was amazing. There was a Polynesian rice dish that was served in like a hollowed out pineapple. There were 2 pound cheesy shrimp tacos that had like a cheese skirt sticking out of
Hmm.
them. So it was like this beautiful spectacle. It was served with fried green tomatoes, cheese logs. There was like a turtle cheesecake and a lovely cocktail. And this all took place outside in front of like their iconic Ugly Grouper statue while there was live music playing. It was like this beautiful Florida breeze. Like it was the perfect food challenge and it tasted amazing. So that was a very, very fun one. I would say best performance would be best performance. Honestly, I've done a few barbecue challenges that I've surprised myself on with how fast I could eat them. Where I thought for sure I was going to struggle because, like, say, Randy would do the challenge before me and maybe he would struggle through it. I'd be like, oh, if he's struggling, I'm really going to
Mm,
struggle. And then I did a few, and I don't know why it's barbecue specifically. I've done a few where like he struggled and I just crushed it. So I'm not really sure what the deal is with it. Maybe I just
mm.
enjoy barbecue more than he does. But yeah, I've just slayed some barbecue challenges. There was one in Dublin that I really enjoyed. Pit Bros Barbecue in Dublin, Ireland. That one was a pretty amazing one. I've done a few here stateside. Um, I think it was like Moo or something like that. What was that called? It was in Ohio. I always forget the name of it. But anyhow, there's really good barbecue here, and I've done some pretty good and fun ones here. Feel terrible forgetting restaurant names, but
No, that's okay. I was just going to ask you about that, your memory, by the way, because you've obviously reeled off a number of things. Do you
Mhm.
often remember everything about the challenges, or is it hard for you to remember restaurant names and stuff?
I can remember a lot of restaurant names, but sometimes I'll get them kind of flip-flopped, especially if we had like a really busy filming schedule. We've had some segments of being on tour where we've filmed 4 to 5 videos in a week, or
Ooh.
maybe it hasn't been me doing the challenge, but Randy has filmed 5 or 6 videos in a week. And so it gets pretty intense. Now, speaking of Randy, he can name what win number it was, the city and town it was in, the name of the restaurant, what he ate. Sometimes he can name the manager that was working on duty, and he's done 2,300 challenges almost. So
Jeez.
that blows my mind. He'll be like, yeah, win 150. I was in Cleveland, Ohio at a place called something something's deli, and I had 23 and a half minutes to eat a sub sandwich, but it took me 12. I'm like, how did you remember that? That was 15 years ago.
You know what that means, though, don't you? That means he needs to go and learn how to do card counting and go to Vegas. That's what that tells you.
Exactly. I like there's something magical in your brain that remembers all that because I struggle to remember what I ate yesterday for breakfast.
Me too.
I
I'm,
don't
I'm on
know.
that train. Um, Challenge-wise, what do you prefer, savory or sweet?
Ooh, can I challenge this and say a mixture?
Of course you
My
may.
favorite challenges have a mixture of savory and sweet. Like go-to food challenge would be I can't stand doing just burger challenges because I've done so many of them. That's no offense. I love burgers, but I've done so many just burger challenges. But you give me a burger challenge that I have to have a shake alongside it or some sort of fun dessert, sign me up. Amazing. Love it.
Yeah, bang
So
on. Is it the bit of variety that you need for the palate and for the brain? Is that what it is?
I think so. And I do have a pretty big sweet tooth. Now, I would normally say sweet, but I've learned kind of the hard way that sweet challenges are extra hard compared to savory challenges just because of the amount of sugars and fats going into you. You have more than just like a physical capacity limit. It's also like a physiological capacity to handle carbs. Like there's only so much that your body can handle. And before you start to like get really shaky and you kind of almost get like foggy because you're like,
Mm,
it's almost like drunk on carbs. It's very weird. It kind of feels like almost like a weird high at first. I don't know how to describe it. It's like, it's bizarre. So like we've done crazy. I've done like a cookie challenge that was 15,000 calories. Loved it.
Jesus.
Had so much fun, but you feel like absolute trash. And those are usually a couple days of recovery from a sweet challenge. We've done a big like 3 kilo donut in Nottingham. And that one I felt pretty bad for a couple
That
days.
was that huge donut, yeah? The
Yes,
really big
the
one,
one
yeah.
big massive
That's
donut.
it.
Yes, that one was really rough. Delicious, absolutely delicious, but very rough.
I know. When I look at these things when you're doing them, I'm thinking, oh, I'd like to taste that, but no way in the quantities that you're consuming.
That's
But
smarter. Yeah, just enjoy little slices.
I don't like that feeling that you said earlier, where you're having to like do certain things in bed to sleep properly and feeling rough for ages. No.
Yep. It's like awful. I'm like, it's one of those things where it's like I would give anything to be in my dieting phase where I was watching these videos and just like eager for a carrot stick. Like I would give
Mm.
anything to feel like that right now compared to this. Like, and I'll like dream of that feeling, that empty, really empty. Like I just want like anything kind of feeling. It's so much like it as uncomfortable as dieting is. It's so much less uncomfortable than being just filled to the gills.
Oh yeah.
It's rough.
Conversely, then, does that mean sometimes when you wait, like in the period now where you're in this like protracted diet phase, do you then have that period where you think, oh, I really fancy these big challenges now? Does it work the other way?
It can, like, I'll kind of gear myself up for it. What's working against me and has almost in every dieting season is our dieting season will start right before the holidays. And
Oh
so
no.
we have the big American holiday of Thanksgiving here, which is basically going all out eating food. And so we'll be visiting family. And it's not only Thanksgiving that you're going crazy eating, it's the days around it. And then Christmas happens. And obviously, there's a lot of eating there. And then it's New Year's, there's a lot of
Mm.
eating there. And then this year we moved, so it wasn't exactly a perfect diet. So I'm not in that eager to crush challenges state yet. So I'm happy that I have about a 1 month buffer until I absolutely have to start filming because I'm not like obsessed with food yet, which is where I need to be really, really ready. And I know that sounds
Yeah.
terrible, but you have to like understand without it coming off as like a mental issue. You have to understand that you are playing games with your brain physiologically and biologically by becoming so hungry that your brain obsesses over food. And you need to be at that level to perform at your best. And now there's some professional leaders out there that train in such a way that they can perform really well without actually being hungry. They're just going through the motions to eat. I
Mm.
don't want to put myself in like a dangerous training position. I just eat to what I can naturally fit. I don't do anything crazy with liquids or anything. We'll just say dangerous training methods. I don't do anything wild like that, just normal. Eat until I'm really, really full and maybe have a big soda afterward is my max training. So I have to really want the food basically to push myself as far as I can.
Well, that sounds like you're doing it the correct and normal way to me. If you were going to do this, embark on this scenario, fair play to you again.
No,
Food wise, what sort of research goes into it? I.e., what do you have to learn? I.e., did you have to look up nutrition and the science of eating, etc., to help you in your challenges?
no, I didn't have to look it up. It does help to have that knowledge, but I didn't have to look it up because I have studied nutrition for quite some time. I started my bodybuilding kind of journey and knowledge building way back in 2011. So I've got a lot of that under my belt. I have a degree in kinesiology, which is human movement science. So just physical human fitness, basically.
Hmm.
And along the way, I've also been a certified personal trainer for over a decade as well. So I have a really good understanding of nutrition and how food affects the body. and right down to the science of how food is broken down. You have to understand all of that. And I think that's a really good balance to play to keep this a healthy sport. So as kind of horrible as it sounds to go out and eat like crap for half the year, I also spend the other half the year eating like a saint. So if you take the average American or UK diet and you mix and match the good meals and the bad meals, we're kind of meeting in the middle. We're kind of doing the same thing. And I would almost argue that I would still eat healthier than the average person over time. So there's just kind of skewing it in that way and then keeping physically active enough to also counteract all of the horrible things that we're putting in our body at once. So yeah. In the end, it's the calories still work out to maintaining a physique or a certain body shape, certain health shape. We'll call it a longevity lifespan. So yeah, I would say it all kind of works out, and kind of having that understanding of how calories work, and that if I eat 10,000 calories on one day, it's not going to totally crush my goals and dreams. All I have to do is bring my calories down the following days to make that average line up. So I'll look at calories usually on a weekly level, which is something that I learned from bodybuilding. So I'll have like, say, I know to maintain my body weight, I need about 19 to 20,000 calories per week. And if I stay under that, I can make my goals work. So I'll do like, say I have a 7,000 calorie estimated food challenge. My next few days will be maybe 1,200 calories. And then I'll have that other 7,000 calorie challenge. And then maybe I'll have another 1,000 calorie day. And then my week resets and I'm still below that 19,000 calories. That was a lot of math. I'm sorry, but
no, that's good. Does that mean you're doing a lot of spreadsheet work to then work out what you've eaten and stuff?
I do actually keep a spreadsheet, but I'm not meticulous about it, especially because doing food challenges, you can only really guess. I try to overestimate, if anything, on those food challenges so that because if anything, I'd rather maintain or under eat, obviously, than I would to, be like, yeah, sure, that 5-pound burger was only 3,000 calories. Like, I'd rather do that, instead
of course, yeah.
myself. So, I kind of keep a loose like spreadsheet. So I'll guesstimate, like, say I did like 8,000 calories total in this whole day, including the food challenge, breakfast, and the snack that I maybe had. And then the next day I'll kind of loosely track as well. And sometimes it's less than 1,200. Sometimes, like back in the day, I used to do a food challenge and then fast basically completely the next day, other than maybe like a protein shake. So, I mean, everybody kind of has their different things. I noticed that I had better energy levels if I sacrificed taking more time to move and work out and just ate a little bit more. I just kind of behaved better, and wasn't just like this zombie the next day. I just would rather move a little bit more to be able to eat that little bit more while still maintaining that slight deficit, or at least maintenance.
Well, you've got to do what's right to maintain a good quality of life, haven't you? There's no point destroying yourself just to destroy yourself the next day.
Mm-hmm. And especially with when we were traveling, I mean, we would do, without really trying to, we would be doing 20 to 25,000 steps in a day, just walking around exploring cities. And if I only ate like a cucumber and a protein shake, I don't think I would make it through a day of exploring like that. So, and it was fun, when you're traveling, part of travel is food culture and how stuff works. And one of my favorite parts of the UK is that your streets are lined with mom and pop shops. It's not just chain restaurants. You walk down a store or down a road in a small town and you've got, an Indian restaurant, and then you've got like a kebab shop, and then you've got a pizza place. And then maybe next to that, you have a sandwich shop, and it's like all these independently owned places. And I loved going through and just popping into a random place, grabbing a sandwich from some sweet old lady, and then moving on with my date. Like, that is so cool. Or going to a chippy after a night out of drinking, which wasn't part of the diet. Like, doing that is so fun. I absolutely love that. So you have to kind of make these, like, is it worth maintaining the diet to not get to experience traveling? Sometimes. So you just kind of have to make those choices there. And food travel is best way to do it.
Yeah. Now you mentioned something there that intrigues me about a question that is going to do with my friends, right? You mentioned chippy. Have you ever had curry sauce with chips in England?
Oh, yes, it's my obsession. Yeah.
Right, now, here's the sticking point. Do you have curry sauce in a pot on the side, or are you pouring that curry sauce on the chips?
I think every time I got it, it did come in a pot on the side, but I would usually be you know how anyone is when they show up to a chippy and just kind of right over the top and then just handfuls straight to the face. Yeah.
Excellent. See, that'll get the guys fighting. So I thank you for that one.
Yep.
um,
Yep.
you always come across on your food challenges as a very real and open person, which is admirable. I love that about a person. Do you think that's the secret to your success on YouTube?
I would say being genuine is part of it, but I would also have to admit that being a girl helps in the food eating scene. I think that that's kind of unusual. There's not too many of us putting out regular content that I can maybe only name like two other professional female eaters. And it's just uncommon. And it was also probably due in part to the professional and competitive eating community are both very supportive of each other. At least that's kind of the vibe that I got when I came on the scene. I had other people advertising that I exist, like, like, hey,
Nice.
check out this new eater. She's in the link below, or just giving me a shout out, or being willing to collaborate with somebody that had only 10,000 followers on YouTube or something when they maybe had 100,000. Like those
Mm.
little things all kind of added up. And then I think maintaining the audience is done through being genuine. I think you can quickly kind of grab somebody's attention with just kind of flair and charisma, but to keep the attention, I do think that there needs to be authenticity, probably some vulnerability. I think people like that I lose and I show those losses. So I think that there's kind of yeah, you have to let people in. It can't just all be
Mm.
glory. It can't all be glory, or no one would want to watch. They wouldn't want to be like, well, she's winning this one. It's
It's
clear.
boring, isn't it?
It would be.
You've got to have your failures. You learn from your failures anyway.
There
But it's
needs to
nice
be
to have
some
them.
nail biters in there. I mean, unfortunately, there's been challenges I've lost by, a handful of food, and the
Mm.
like the heartbreaking moment for me. And then people watching, they're like, I was on the edge of my seat. I love those videos. It sucks in that moment because it's like, oh, I lost. What if I had done three different things differently? What if I took one less sip of water? Could I've gotten that bite in and won and had the glory? Like it kind of tortures yourself, but in the end, it really still entertained people. And what an intense moment. Like you feel like you want like a orchestra to be playing some intense like cello scene or like song or something. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's
No, I like the losses. Not in that I advocate for you losing, but like I said, you can't have the ups without the downs. You need the downs.
yeah. Losing is brutal. It sucks, but I have never been in person at a challenge and had anybody be like, oh, I'm so disappointed that the challenge I went to, you lost. Like no one's ever said
That would be harsh if they
and
did.
that's it would totally crush me if it did. It is rough though that like if before you've started a challenge, I've had like little kids come up and be like, oh, you're my hero, and then you lose in front of them. That's really hard. I like think about that little shining innocent face and I'm like, I just let that kid down. Like that gets me, but they've always gone up and been like, oh, you did so good, I couldn't have even eaten a tenth of that,
Mm.
like everyone's so nice. So I'm really thankful that everyone's sweet, regardless of if I perform amazing or if I just have an off day.
Good. Well, that just shows you that the majority of people that you will meet in life are decent people
Yes, I
at
would say so.
heart.
Sometimes I have my doubts on human decency, but oftentimes there's redemption.
And where's that normally come from? Online, though, eh? You don't normally see out in the wilds, I don't think.
Yeah, I'd say online you see a lot of negativity, but for as much as I feel like we're designed to spot negative things in life, I think really easily. And so I'd say 95% of the comments are amazing, nice, kind, supportive comments, and maybe 5% are from a place of trolling. Maybe
Yeah.
they're upset. I don't know. But I do feel like that it's just human nature to kind of hone in on those things and just like really let them get you. And then it just kind of takes time to learn like, well, look, there's this one comment, but here's 20 others buffering the next negative comment that I'll get, like, so that's really really sweet and nice. And yeah, that's that kind of redemptive human nature quality. But I mean, obviously in person, I've never gone to a challenge and had like somebody show up that I've been like, wow, they're a real jerk. Like, wish they didn't watch my videos. Like, I'm really glad that I haven't run into that yet.
Well, I hope you never do. Do you respond to your hate comments online, or do you not? Do you just gloss over them?
I've responded to a few, but I usually do avoid feeding the trolls. Randy loves to feed the trolls. He has fun doing it. I don't like feeding the trolls. I like it. Number one, I feel like, what if that person had a bad day and me trolling them back just spirals their day to like a worse, darker place? I would never want to be that catalyst. So I just, that golden rule, if you have nothing nice to say nothing at all.
Say nothing, yeah.
So I'll just kind of lock it in, take it in, or screenshot it, laugh about it with Randy and be like, look at this comment I got, and then laugh about it. And that's kind of my release, is to make fun of the person without making fun of the person, which is
I know what you mean.
Yeah, talking behind their back, I guess, technically. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'd rather just not address it and fuel more negativity.
I completely agree. On my animation channel, I used to get a shed load of hate comments, and I used to do what Randy did, would respond to them, and like almost pick apart their spelling and stuff like that. And that was ultimately me being like that. And I decided just let it go. It doesn't mean anything, does it? Let it go and respond to the positive comments, and that's all I do these days.
Absolutely. Yeah, I always think of it as you're paying rent to them if they're in your head like that. They're taking that 5 minutes that it took for you to come up with the clever response. And then you're going to spend that next 20 minutes thinking about how you could have made the response more clever. Like that's how I get when I'm trying to like, really get them back. And I can't. That's just a negative cycle I don't want to go down.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You can think about it, and then at night you're thinking, oh, I really should have said that on that comment.
Yeah, really could have got them. Really could have got them. They spelled there wrong. And if I had pinpointed that, whew.
Right, now we've mentioned Randy a few times, so he is your other half, so to speak. Tell us the story of how you met, if you can.
Yeah, it's kind of precious, actually. It was deep in COVID times. And so July of 2020, I had just gotten back from a big trip. I was living in Mississippi temporarily, and on the way back, I'd gone through and done the big 72-ounce steak challenge in Amarillo, Texas. And the video had just gone viral for me, which was really cool. My channel kind of had another big surge, which kind of is how YouTube works. You'll kind of have a surge, steady out, have a surge, steady out. And so I had this video go viral. I had a big surge in followers and in views. And right after that, kind of Randy had noticed that video had done well, and he had wanted to invite somebody to do a pizza challenge with him in Alaska. And he had done in the past in London, he had actually done some challenges with a gal called Kate Ovens, who was a professional eater. And she's kind of like this cute, short, thin little blonde. And so he was like trying to think like, it would be really cool to have a partner on my challenge be a small, tiny blonde, because it's such a fun contrast. He's 6'5". A tiny girl next to him would be awesome. And so from a complete like business clickbait side of things, he was like, hey, like, do you want to go on this trip with me? It would be really cool to have a girl be on my team, and then we could do these challenges together. I think it would look really good on camera, And I was totally free. It was like kind of last minute. I think it was like, can you leave in like 2 weeks? And I was like, yeah, why not? And he invited me out to Alaska. We had a few challenges that we had to do together. We were stuck in the car together for hours driving after food challenges. So you can imagine hotboxing with all those scents. It was
a wonderful, no doubt.
It was a good one. Yeah, the wilds of Alaska weren't so fresh anymore, but yeah, we had a good time. And if you can believe it, those long road trips spelled romance. So by the time we got to the challenge that I had showed up for, which was a team pizza challenge, we had already done like 4 challenges together. And yeah, we had just slowly kind of, I know that sounds weird, in like 5 days, we kind of slowly had like fallen in love with each other, like in like a very short amount of time, and shared our first kiss after a big pizza challenge. So pizza is love, everybody. Pizza is love.
Yeah. That's amazing. That is very quick, but fair play. You know it when you know it, don't you?
We had some, I feel like, so we had, number one, we had very deep conversations in the car. And number 2, in any sort of relationship building, they say that you have to go through conflict together, and then a session of like comforting together, basically. Like, and so our conflict were these challenges, and then the comfort was just being together in misery after the fact, and then just being overall open with each other. So we had basically months worth of relationship building exercises happen within the course of a week.
Oh, it makes
So
sense. Yeah.
I'd say that's a pretty big deal. And we also, in a strictly platonic way at the time, we're staying in the same room together. So we spent every second of every day together during that week. So we had a lot of time spent that I guess would accumulate over months of dating on an
Yeah, that's true.
average time.
Now, how has, since partner up with Randy, how has he helped you, do you think, in life and in this professional eating capacity?
His work ethic is second to none. He can work from the second he wakes up to the second he goes to bed, and like it blows my mind. I'm the type of person where I can work really well and be creative, especially with editing, for maybe 4 to 6 hours. Like that's my limit. It's not impressive by any means. I can get a lot of great stuff done, but I've got 4 to 6 hours. If it's not that, I either want to be eating food in that time, not doing that, in the gym working out, or just straight wasting my darn time. Like I love it. I love vegging out. He can't sit still and not work. So his work ethic is absolutely amazing, and it's really inspired me to try and be a better worker. Like if I don't have something to do, I feel like I need to find something to do, because he always has something to do, which is very cool. And you can see that in his success. He's very smart with money. He's very smart with travel. It's just very intelligent. And I find that a very attractive quality in a partner, to have that much knowledge and then the willingness to be patient and sharing with me. Because I'm not the type of person who cares. Like I've always just been really frugal. That was my version of being financially responsible. You make money by not spending it. That was my thought. So like I
Makes sense.
never did all of the like the research behind, like how to be successful kind of on that side of things. So I really respect his patience with teaching me all of that, when I never really cared. I just wanted to be able to live a comfortable life, and I don't like to spend a lot of money. Like that was that was like kind of my thing. And so yeah, that's a pretty attractive quality that I've kind of taken away from that, is just kind of business savvy, I guess, and work ethic are the two main things that he's obviously taught me. And then obviously having a partner that does what you do and that you can travel with and be with 24/7 and not want to throttle them by the end of the night. Like we can live together in harmony nonstop and not really get on each other. I mean, obviously we're a normal couple, we'll bicker, but we're not ever like, I just can't be with you right now, and like leave, like so that's really cool to have like a passion for the job and be able to travel together and work together really well, and also understand like the pain, like we were talking about earlier, like the discomfort, and just have that knowledge. I would have never in a million years thought that I would date somebody who was a professional eater. Wouldn't have crossed my mind. So it's kind of cool to be able to be on the same page with a lot of stuff. And then deep dive into that more. He is a registered dietitian, and so he's got superior knowledge of food, and he also understands fitness. So there's that extra layer of having things in common, which is really nice. And that was my TED talk on romance.
That's good. Now, obviously, that says that he's giving a lot to you.
Absolutely.
Can you say what you're giving to him? And not in a rude way, but you know what I mean.
No,
What
right,
qualities
right.
of you does he take on?
I think the creative side. So he asked my opinion a lot on like, what do you think I should do for this thumbnail? Can you help me set up my camera during these food challenges? What are your thoughts on these merchandise designs, stuff like that? So like, I feel like the creative side is kind of what he takes from me. So like, I'm very much creative brain, and he's very much like analytical brain. And so we kind of trade back and forth
Mm.
those things, and I'll give him the creativity and he gives me the analytics. And those kind of marry together kind of perfectly, just because neither of us are good at the other. Like Randy can be creative and I can also be analytical, but we're not very good without working together as a team to kind of make that.
I know what you mean. It sounds very much similar to myself and my girlfriend. She always wants to be outside, and most of my days in spent inside on the computer. And together, she sort of helps bring me out, and I help bring her in. So I was thinking about when you said you like vegging out. I wonder if you then helped him rest from the constant work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, he does it reluctantly, but like he just took off on another food challenge trip. But beforehand, we got into watching Queen's Gambit together, which
Oh, it's good, that, isn't it?
great show.
Yeah.
And so we would sit down, and I mean, it's only a 45-minute episode, but everybody, I 100% believe this. You need to like have some sort of like woo moment where you're not thinking about work. And so that's kind of been nice to have those little little glimpses together, just kind of relaxing and not just being kind of honed in. Because otherwise, our leisure time spent together would be like date nights or time out with friends or just while eating meals or over coffee or while we're working out in the gym. That's kind of the other time that we spend interacting with each other outside of work. So it's kind of nice to have those kind of like veg out times or
Yeah.
playing games or playing like rummy or something. We'll kind of relax and play some cards like that. That's fun. That's a good kind of chill release for sure.
Perfecto. Now, your videos have naturally gotten more polished as you've progressed, I would say. Do you still do all the work yourself, or is there anyone else you've roped in to help you along the way?
I do continue to edit all of my own content. Now, the side where I do get a little bit of help is I don't like short form content. So I do have a team that takes my already edited YouTube videos and then makes them like the long phone
Oh,
way
I
and then
don't like
the
those. No.
little captions. Yeah, they do all that for me because I don't have the patience to do that. So I do have a team that does that for me, but otherwise, yes, I am my own editor. It's very hard for me because of that creative side to let go of that creative control over my stuff. I love to tweak a video to give a certain kind of quirky vibe or say I am more hangry than I'd wanted to be going into a challenge. I can tell I'm a little bit clippy and unexcited sounding in the beginning. So like a clever zoom in with some plucky music can make kind of a bland like, and this is the burger I'm eating. Like if I
Yeah.
go and this is the burger I'm eating and I kind of happen to catch that I gave it like a side eye, I can zoom in on that side eye and it turns into a funny moment, even though it was like just me kind of being bland. So I'll try and catch things that'll make it like, okay, Katina wasn't performing well today. Like she wasn't on her best, but like a good zoom in here and like a good plucky music piece here will make it still be entertaining because people don't want to watch somebody who's like, and I am here today in Liverpool eating
God
fries.
damn Liverpool. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, well played. I think
like
your
Liverpool,
editing's good.
Katina.
If you're doing it all yourself, well played because it's very pro.
Oh,
And I
well,
know
thank
this
you.
is going to sound horrible, but like contrasting it with your early videos, and my intentions here are good. If you contrast your now content versus your old videos, you've come a long way, haven't you? You've learned a
Yeah,
lot.
a long way. Especially, I used to take a lot of effort to do like cool things, maybe like a year into doing videos, like um those like magic moments where like, you snap your fingers and all of a sudden I'm in a different outfit. Like I thought that was like cool editing, but all people want is nice B-roll of the food, really nice footage of the food, maybe a quick glimpse of what the restaurant and your environment is, and that's it. The rest is just good talking head stuff and just some maybe like more extra, like I said, clips of food so that it's not just me floating there.
Hmm.
And otherwise, people are quite impatient to get to me eating the food, which is kind of tough to do because I have to do the restaurant justice. I have to explain the rules and make that all kind of work out. Now, I might take moving forward, once I've finished this series, I might take some creative kind of license from my team that's helping me with my short form videos. So I've gotten great feedback about how my intros work and how it flows into the video. So what they're doing is overlaying my vocal audio of introducing the challenge to the part where I'm already eating. And that's pretty genius because I'm introducing it while already cutting to the
While
chase.
doing it.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
digging in, and that was really smart on their part to do that because I've gotten good feedback on good intro length. Love that you were already eating. Awesome. Like so that's really cool feedback to see kind of on my end. So I might try and play that into my future edits. I'm kind of confused on how to make that all work. Like in my brain, I like the organicness of this is where I am. I'm going to start eating now. I like that organic feeling. but I kind of have to evolve with the times, and everyone has the attention span of a gnat now. No offense, but I do mean
No, it's
offense.
true.
So yeah, I have to make sure I really rope people in quickly. So I've gotten rid of a lot of, I used to love showing off a lot of like countryside or like maybe some town shots to be like, here's my environment, here's where I am, it's beautiful, yay, rainbows and butterflies. But it wasn't catching on. I would find that if I went back into my analytics, people would skip to about 2 minutes in when I was maybe 5 or 6 bites in. So
So it's a shame that, because I actually like all those establishing shots and things. Maybe it's the old school in me. I don't know.
yeah, I think like the 8 to 10 minute video to me, I think is a good sweet spot. Like
Hmm.
that's perfect for me. Like that's enough. Like if I have a few minutes between, like a couple or like a project or something, 8 to 10 minutes is like a perfect like rewind reset time for me. If I do short form content, I'll spend 30 minutes mindlessly scrolling through until I find something that I need. And then your time is gone, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything on like a philosophical deep dive into short form content, but
Short form content, I don't like it myself, but hey ho, that's where we are with YouTube and stuff, isn't it?
it's true.
The timer you have in your videos, is that the same timer you've always had, or have you had to replace it?
Yes, which is crazy that it's
That is
lasted that
crazy.
long. I think I spent like $7 on it on Amazon, maybe, or maybe it was Walmart. I don't even remember where I got the thing. I don't know how it still works. I've never changed the batteries. Fun fact, it's 4 years later, almost
You
5 now.
hopefully you've cleaned the buttons off when you've got all the grossness on your fingers.
The buttons have been cleaned, and as surprising as it is, 5 years later, I still have to look at the timer sometimes, which irritates people. I have to look at the timer sometimes to hit the button to know, because if I hit the second or the minute button on accident, it'll add a second or a minute to my time. And so I still have like that nervous moment. Sometimes I'm like so full, my brain just doesn't work. I'll have to like look at it and hit the button. And that like really gets people. They're like, why do you always look at it? And I'm like, I can't, I got to see it.
Well, now you know why if you're listening to this.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it drives some people nuts. I wish I could just store that and just have the confidence to hit the correct button, but I don't.
oh well, that is part of being you, isn't it? That is just
Yes,
one of
and
your
Randy
quirks. That's
solves
cool.
that problem by just keeping his timer pointed at him at all times. And I think that's pretty smart. I don't do that because I'm lazy and I don't want to have to edit in a timer after the fact. I just,
A
here's the
wise choice. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do
yeah.
that either. We're gonna now enter the section I call gross. All right. So, which
What?
food? I've already asked this question earlier. Which foods will you not eat? And I don't think there are any other than
No,
this.
not too many.
No. Um, what's the worst food you've ever tasted during a challenge? You don't have to say the restaurant if you want, because you don't want to put pressure on people. But
I've had a challenge that I lost by a couple bites because it was so terrible tasting. Number one, you're that full, and then number two, it's that terrible tasting. Like if I was hungry, I could stomach it and be polite.
mm,
But it was they were called like disco fries. And if you really want to deep dive, you'll know which video I'm talking about. But they're called disco fries, and there was this weird chili on top of it, like a meat and bean chili on top that had a seasoning to it that tasted absolutely revolting to me. I did not care for it one bit. And yeah, I lost the challenge by maybe a quarter cup of food. Like it was like this much. And yeah, I just knew that one more bite, it was going to end up on the front row. And
yeah, yeah, not a good ending to that one.
not a good,
Um,
not a good finale.
no, which brings me to the next question, which is highly apt. Have you ever been sick during a challenge?
No, not in front of anybody. I have had to, well, because usually people phrase that in a way of, have you been sick like in front of people? No, but I have had to run away. And so I've done that, I think four times probably, where I've had to just go,
Go
sorry,
on.
and just haul it. Like and people know, thankfully, like if you see me running, like get out of the way, things are like it happens, and it sucks, and it's very embarrassing because everybody knows what you're about to do. And you come out, and then at least you kind of feel a little bit better, but there's a lot of shame involved. But that's one of the things of the sport. Yeah, it's embarrassing when it happens, but is what it is. You're pushing your body to a physical limit, and sometimes that balloon doesn't stay inflated anymore. We'll just say
No,
that.
it wants to pop itself.
It
Now, it
does.
wouldn't be a Koit video if I never got poop in there somewhere. So I'm sorry
Okay.
about bringing this question up, but I have to ask it. So toilet habits, how does
Mhm.
the body react? Is it normal or
I'd say it's normal. And people, I get asked this all the time. So this is actually not an uncommon question. It's normal. I would say people are always like, oh, it just must be diarrhea everywhere. No, it's just normal. Like maybe instead of going to the bathroom once a day, maybe you go to the bathroom 2 or 3, but it's not anything insane unless it is a spicy challenge or something. Then you get the classic ring of fire. I mean, that's fine. But otherwise it's normal. And I always giggle about it because I wonder, like, what happens to people that they ask these questions that they must just be laden with misery, but I've never had an issue.
no, it's good. It's just it pops into people's mind because when you're eating kilos and kilos and kilos of food, you're thinking
Mhm.
that's got to go somewhere. Obviously, a
Yeah.
lot of it's being absorbed, but there
Mhm.
seems to be more,
Yep,
which
but
could
you
lead
have to
on to
remember
that
that
bit.
you have, like, what is it, 6 to 9 feet of intestine that to hold all of that. So I mean, there's some room. So it just can release slowly over time, and you don't really even notice it. Yeah, it's which is unfortunate because sometimes I would love for it to behave like people think it happens, where it just is this massive gush of you're free of what you just ate, but that's not how it works.
You do
Unfortunately,
realize you've just given yourself another little catchphrase for a t-shirt. There's
which
nine
is
feet of colon. There's some more room or whatever. Get
yeah,
that on
yeah, here
there.
we go. Yeah, I have all the room in the world. There's plenty of room in there. So yeah.
I also like the way that you include belching on your videos because again, that makes you more real. So fair play on that one. You don't cut it out, is what I was getting at, which is
It's
good.
natural. I admittedly cut out a lot of them though,
Oh,
because
do you?
there's a fine line. There's a lot of people that get really grossed out by it. So I have to cater to the people that think it's rude and obscene, which is also a cultural thing. A lot of other countries really find belching to be rude. Some countries think it's hilarious. So it's just kind of depends. So, but yeah, I'll leave in one or two because a lot of people think it's funny. And but yeah, I enjoy it. It's part of eating. If I didn't burp, I would lose most of the challenges because a lot of the times for me, it's air holding me back. So you just got to let it out. Better out than
Yeah,
in.
damn straight. Now, here's the question that I'm kind of hesitant to ask you, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Okay.
Lady stuff, and excuse the
Mhm.
nature of the question, but I feel there will be people out there that will be interested in this.
Mhm.
Does pro eating affect your cycles in any way?
I haven't noticed it too. I haven't noticed it too at all. But I would assume that that could be different for everybody. I'm sure that that amount of stress and trauma could affect some women, but I haven't really noticed anything on that level. I've been fine, I guess. We'll
Good.
stick
Well, look,
off the box
thank
in
you
that
for
way.
answering. I felt quite worried about that question,
That's
but
actually the first time I've been asked that, and it's actually a really appreciated question because I would feel like that would be an interesting female perspective to get. So yeah, that's
exactly.
interesting.
I think a lot of people will have that in their brain, but will be too scared to ask.
Yeah, I because physical fitness and stress can cause disruption, so I don't see why it couldn't. So
Hmm.
I
Well,
think
I'm
it would
glad it
be
doesn't
person
affect you anyway.
specific. I'm not a doctor, so we'll just say it's probably individual specific, and then I'll
Yes,
just take a step
that's
back.
the nice way out of that one.
Hmm.
Have you ever said something whilst doing a challenge that was too rude for your video, so you had to cut it?
Too rude. I've had moments. Well, okay, here was like a thing, like, so big burger challenges are very hard to cook. So like we're not necessarily talking the stacks of normal burgers, we're talking the ones where it's like a 2-3 kilo patty. Those
Hmm.
are very, very difficult for the restaurant to cook properly and cook through. So lots of times you'll be on the outside of the burger and it's kind of cooked well done, and then it'll be like medium well, medium rare, raw, unfortunately,
And then frozen. Yeah.
and then raw, like terrifyingly raw.
Whoa.
And you it's not the restaurant's fault. Like they're not cooking this 3 kilo patty every day. Like it's not their fault. So there's been times where, like, I'll offhand, knowing that I'm not going to include it in the video, to like, Randy will be like, what's wrong? You're slowing down. Like, it's raw, watch out. Like, or something like that. And so I do cut out stuff like that would kind of shed a negative light on the restaurant. There's been one time where I had to include that something was raw to make sense in the video. And that was a pancake challenge actually in Northern Ireland. And again, they made giant pancakes and they were raw in the middle. And I could not finish the challenge if they were that raw. So I asked if they could cook them again. And so it had to be in the storyline that they were getting recooked and re-brought out. And I was finishing them as they came. And it was one of those things where if people don't believe I'm eating them and that this is like a fake video, that's one thing. But I also can't make it look bad on the restaurant. So I have to be very transparent about what's going on here. Like it is raw. It's not their fault. These pancakes are the size of seat cushions. So they're going to recook it for me and they're being really good about it. So it came off as rude because I was like, I can't eat this. But I also, raw dough isn't necessarily the healthiest thing. I don't know how I've gotten through some of the raw meat things. It's been hard.
Yeah. Ugh.
Try not to show that though.
Do you have a system to help you or to help prevent yourself being sick?
Yes. So I've learned after challenges, I'm very thirsty, very, very thirsty. There's a lot of salt and stuff, and water feels good initially to drink because it's like, oh, your mouth is so like dry, you just feel salty and bloated, and water usually will make you feel better. Now, I've noticed if I am too full and I drink too much water, that will lead to the unfortunate consequence of no longer having a challenge inside of me. So, so yeah, I've learned that I can't use water to the level I would like to stay hydrated. I have to be very careful with it. So my kind of tricks of the trade is actually to, instead of using water for whatever reason, like diet soda doesn't do that to me as much. I can get a little bit more diet soda in me. And maybe it's because it causes burping. It gives me a little bit more room. I may have a little bit more. So that's kind of a weird quirk is normally, typically I would say hydrate really well after a challenge, but there's cases where like that doesn't work out and then you get ill. And obviously that's never the goal. And so I've learned to hold it back because there were some times I would just make Randy laugh because I would be like, oh no, I just drank too much water again. And he'd be like, oh God, here we go. And then I'd go have to skedaddle away because I just drank way too much water. You're just so thirsty. But yeah, that's kind of one of the weird ones is trying to avoid water or else it'll make you sick. I have a weird position I like to get into that'll make me feel better when I'm exceptionally full. And it's like I like to bend like over in front of a desk, like almost like this is going to sound very inappropriate, but like bend over onto like a desk, like I'm getting ready to do some dirty stuff. You know what I'm saying? like leaning forward because like my stomach hanging down, like so feels so comforting as opposed to it like being on my organs behind. So like when you're that full, like it's pushing on your kidneys, like stuff's moving out of the way to make room for your stomach. So if I lean forward, like in the prone position, it's absolutely amazing. And so if I've had a big challenge, you can find me just like almost like on all fours, just letting my stomach hang out, just ready to like chill. I'll just be like watching TV, like on all fours, like, oh, it's so miserable. And it sounds goofy. And I know that sounds really weird. There's no better way to describe that.
That's all right. It's what works for you in the moment. I don't blame you. When I used to overfill on food, chocolate cake was my downfall at the time. I'd have to sleep upright in bed. So I know it. You have to do certain things to make yourself get through it.
Yeah, it's rough.
Now, naturally, from your videos, you're getting lots of free food, and often prizes from the locations you visit. But what do the businesses get out of it? Are they getting, has anyone ever told you from the businesses that they've seen an uptick in customers from your videos and stuff like that?
Yeah, actually, and I would say that's kind of one of the best parts about the job. If you take the fun and the glory of the food challenges out of the mix, it's getting to promote these restaurants and then hearing down the road, like, hey, your video did really well. We've had several people come in that have said that they've seen your videos and they really liked it. Or that night when you hosted the challenge and we had all those people come in, we made a great profit that night. So thank you so much for filling our restaurant. things like that. And then people discovering that as a restaurant, they're locals, and then that becomes kind of a spot that they go to over and over again. So I'd say like advertising for the restaurant is kind of the flip side of it. So it may cost them the price of the challenge or whatever that they would have got had we won, but they're getting so much back from that. And so that's kind of like an I scratch your back, you scratch mine sort of like thing.
It's a big win-win, isn't it?
Works out. It's a good synergy.
Yeah. Hell yeah. There's not many scenarios like that in life where you can take something from someone and they get something back in return, but not from you, you know, so that is a good win. Have you ever been denied a prize, or is there a recording of a challenge that you did where you've not published it because of a restaurant issue?
Not published it. I've only ever had an outright issue with one restaurant. I won't call them out, but if you go through my YouTube, you'll find it. I did a challenge and they made the challenge significantly larger than it was supposed to be. And so I lost, and I didn't post that video because I lost, and I knew that nothing good could come for that restaurant if I posted it, because it was so obscenely much bigger than it was supposed to be. And so we tried going back to that restaurant again, this time with Randy, and we asked them like, hey, it's going to be the correct size this time. Oh, yeah. And then we asked if they weighed it, and they said yes. And then the food challenge came out, and it was, again, the obscenely large size that was way bigger than advertised, way bigger than anyone else has gotten. And when we asked them to weigh it, they denied us access to weigh it. But we're having an event. There's, 50, 60 people there to watch you eat. You can't back out. And so this time I filmed it and just released the video, just being honest with everyone, saying this is the second time I've filmed this actually, and I'm losing again because the restaurant has screwed me over. The food was great, but I feel like this was poorly done. So like the people that show up really want to see the video. And that's probably the sassiest thing I've ever done. I don't wish ill on any restaurant, but it was also very unfair play on their part to treat us differently than everyone else. So that was unfortunate. That's probably the only negative restaurant experience I've ever had. Every other restaurant we've been to has been either really excited or really like welcoming. Like indifference is the worst thing that we get otherwise, like just indifference, like, okay, they're cool, they're here to film. Neat.
Well, based on what you said earlier about it's not being a win-win for the restaurant and for you, it doesn't seem then to make sense in your head for a restaurant to sort of like kibosh it, does it?
Yeah. So it's like there's restaurants that will make a food challenge bigger, not out of any place of animosity or being mean. They just want it to look really good on camera. Like they want it to look amazing. And that's fine. That happens. And sometimes we have to be like, okay, we're humans too. I know we're on camera, but we're going to have to take like it. Everyone else has not gotten 4 pounds of fries. Let's pull back on that a bit. So we'll have to have discussions in the kitchen like, hey, this is not what you've done for everyone else. And I know you're trying to make it look good, but let's pull back, or, like stuff like that, or just portions being inflated. Burritos are really easy to do that on, pizza toppings, etc. But I'd say burritos are the biggest culprit though. Like they'll be like, it's a 5-pound burrito and it's like 10.
Well, no, does that make you then want to take your own set of scales with you?
I try to trust people as much as possible. And sometimes I wish that I brought a scale more often, because the chef will be like in denial. This is exactly how we always make it. And I'm like, is it though? Because
10 extra eggs in this one, yeah.
But Randy and I have done so many challenges, we can guess almost to the ounce how much something's going to weigh. And we're usually pretty good. So like when a restaurant's like, no, it's definitely only, 5 pounds or 2.5 kilos. We're like, no, don't think it is.
No. Yeah, they need to weigh you before and after.
Yeah, it only like, and we're like, say if it's a 2.5 kilo challenge, we're good for 3.5 kilos. It's fine. We'll usually just do the challenge. It's only rough when you're like trying to beat a record. And so you kind of have like some random guy off the street gets to maintain the record because he got the normal size challenge. And then we're going in there trying to kind of do this cool glory thing. We've gotten the supersized version of our.
And then you get the dodgy end of the stick.
Mhm.
Do you have a plan to end at some stage doing these challenges, or are you going to go on till you burst? And what I want to
Um,
suffix that with, is there a next chapter in your life that you've had in the back of your head that you might do something in the future, something else?
yeah, yeah. And I kind of plan on phasing food challenges out slowly. I would really like to get into more like food tourism type of videos. I have enjoyed world travel so much, and I missed a lot of opportunities. We talked about enjoying food and culture, but I missed a lot of cool opportunities because I was in a place and couldn't have a meal because like the challenge is in 2 hours.
Mm.
And you're in these really cool spots with unique eats that are very popular or well known in the area. Like this is the best local place to get such and such. And you have to pass it up. So I would love to be able to be in these places traveling and just do food tourism type videos where it's like, if you're in Seoul, South Korea, these are the 10 must try spots while you're there, and still crush food, be myself. Like I can crush some food, do it all in a day for fun or something, but
Yeah.
like show off all the food that you can get in like in Seoul or even like a small town in Korea, like something like that. Like it would be really cool. And so we just moved to Nashville here, and I think this is a really good spot to kind of warm up because Nashville is full of incredible food. I'm taught like everywhere you look, great restaurants, little hole in the wall places, well known places, places that are just Instagram famous, but there's everything in between from the underrated to the overrated. And I think that would be really great to kind of start sprinkling in some videos like that in between food challenges and not just shocking everybody with like food challenges are done, new content now.
Yeah, yeah.
I do
You've
think there
phased
needs
it,
to
haven't
kind
you?
of be,
Mm.
yeah, that kind of comforting stretch out. I don't think it would be too far off of my format. When I first started my channel, I would sprinkle in cheat days, which are basically a food tour, if you think about it in that way. So
Hmm.
my channel used to be mostly cheat days with food challenges sprinkled in because I was so camera shy that I didn't want to go to restaurants in person. I'd rather take the food home and eat it at home and build my own challenge. And so my channel was actually very limited with real restaurant challenges when I first started. And then when I met Randy, that was when it really went restaurant challenge mode and nothing else, because that was all I had time for. Because we
Mm.
were filming 2 or 3 a week and can't really eat much more than that without turning into a house when you're 5'2". So,
What's your time frame on this phasing? A year,
you
two,
know,
5?
I kind of actually think it's going to happen at some point this year, probably. I don't know that I would want to film enough content to just exclusively be posting restaurant challenges for the rest of the year. And like I said, I'm excited to be in Nashville, and I think while that excitement is fresh, I would like to be filming some of that kind of food tourism content. And then we're going to be repeating some countries while traveling this summer. And I do think we're going to be in England again. I think we're going to be in Wales again. So instead of trying to seek out challenges and just kind of force it, I'd rather kind of maybe try some food tourism. And maybe if there's a good challenge, I'll do like one. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of, again, be able to have that mix. So
A foot
I
in
think it'd
both
be kind of
worlds,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it would mean that I wouldn't be able to do as big of challenges, obviously, because I wouldn't be as trained all the time. But I could still do some pretty good sized ones,
Mm.
which is pretty cool. I think that's one of the smarter plays on Beard Meats Foods channel is he often picks challenges that are good, like a good reasonable size, as opposed to a lot of times Randy and I will help kick off restaurant challenges that are insane and we know is going to hurt at the end. And so like there's kind of like a smartness to like doing like a this is hard, but it's not insane.
Yeah,
Like
a nice
just
middle ground. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Right, Katina, a strange, sorry, not a strange, a question that I ask everyone that I interview, and it goes like this: what strange things have happened to you? Because I deal a lot with the paranormal, that could be anything like ghosts, UFOs, aliens, whatever. But has anything strange happened to you?
The only fun thing I can think of is growing up, we used to camp out at my friend's like family's property. It was called the ranch, and we
Hmm.
were growing up, and they always told this folklore that somebody had been murdered in the house with an axe, and so they would always make the kids sleep in this room as like a rite of passage. And there was the axe that had done it that was behind the door. So you'd close the door to go to bed and the axe is there and da da da. And so I'd say that was the only like crazy thing. And then like woke up in the middle of the night and the older teenagers that would be in there would like mess with you and like do haunted stuff. So that would be the only thing. Because when I was a little kid, I 100% believed that real ghosties were getting me, but it was just teenagers messing with us.
And it wasn't Lizzie Borden's house, was it? That famous
No,
axe murderer.
it's just like a fun ranch. And we like it, the tradition continues to this day. If there's a little kid that stays over, we call it the red rum room, the murder room.
In the death room, yeah.
Yeah.
Off you go,
and
kids.
I've actually, as an adult, I've slept in that room and it's fine. It's actually a really sweet room. It looks like it's like a granny's room out of like an old movie. It's like the most precious room ever. But when I was a child, oh my God, terrifying.
Exactly. Peel back the wallpaper, you'll see the blood spatter. It's there. Okay, Katina, we are now entering the Koit zone. Koit zone! Now, in the Koit zone, I would just ask you random questions. You can give as little answer or as large an answer as you wish, so that it's up to you. Do you collect anything?
Ooh, I used to collect rocks, but not anymore.
When you say rocks, do you mean things like this?
Yeah, I would just find rocks and collect them. I thought rocks were fascinating, but now I don't really collect anything. Sad.
No, that's not sad. That's good. Have a clear mind, a clear house. That's what I always think. Favorite movie?
Ooh, rough. Oh, there's so many.
What's the first one that came to your head?
Dan in Real Life. It's a Steve Carell movie. Dane Cook is in it as well. It is an amazing dramedy, and I'm obsessed with it, and a lot of people haven't heard of it.
Can you say the name again? I'm going to look it up.
Yes, Dan in Real Life.
Dan in Real Life. I think I have seen it.
Great movie.
I'm going to remind myself of that one afterwards. I'm sure I've seen it.
I could watch that movie once a month and be totally fine.
Does that mean you know the script to it?
I don't, because I don't let myself watch it that often because I'm afraid I would get sick of it. Like, I think I won't, but I am afraid that I would. I'm one of those people where like I can be fine hunky-dory with something and then all of a sudden it's like something will switch in my brain and I'll like all of a sudden be like, nope, not into it. So I got to make sure that I can stay into it because it's such a beautiful movie.
It's got to stay on the good side of you, hasn't it, that one?
Yeah, so I'll watch it maybe once a year now.
Okay, so similar to that question about knowing scripts, are there songs that you know all the words to?
There's a lot. I would say almost any 90s country song. I know a lot of 80s rock and roll. Couple of rap songs. I wouldn't say too many like modern hip hop or anything. I would say 90s country is probably my sweet spot, which probably doesn't translate well over in the UK, so I'm sorry. But okay. 80s rock and roll, I've got some of.
I was listening to Turn Up the Radio by Autograph today.
Autograph, yep.
Yeah, that was my YouTube rabbit hole today for some reason. If you weren't a pro eater and we discounted bodybuilding, what else would you be?
Ooh, that is a good one. I would say probably in some sort of like physical training. I wanted to be some sort of athletic coach, which is why I started studying kinesiology before I figured out that I was amazing at this whole like eating thing. I thought that for sure I was going to be in some sort of coaching position. So probably some sort of physical coach of some sort.
Cool. Yeah, I know you mentioned personal trainer earlier, so I thought it might go that way. And what is your favorite time of the day?
Ooh, first thing in the morning.
When it's reset.
First cup of coffee, that gearing up for the day. I have different moods. Sometimes I'll wake up and like have my coffee and immediately zoom into the day. And other times I like to start slow and like zone out, maybe watch a show real quick with my coffee. It's like a mood thing. I don't know.
No, that's fine. Which leads into this question. It's very similar. Do you allow yourself a thinking time?
Yeah, absolutely. Usually my thinking time is on the treadmill. I'll get a lot of my creative ideas out, or like on an actual walk. I use treadmill time to get work done usually, just because I can be on my phone while I'm doing the treadmill. And if I'm on a nature walk, I completely disconnect from everything and just think. So yeah, I would say either form of walking, whether it's outdoors or on a treadmill, I spend a lot of time thinking. And I'd say basically showering. I usually think a lot while I eat, which is weird. But yeah, that's probably it.
No, that's cool. Favorite candy?
Ooh. It's your bar. It's a UK
Oh,
thing. It's oh, Randy's gonna kill me. It's not a Lion bar. Is it? Oh,
what
they're
color's the packet?
like a honeycomb kind of middle to it, and then they're chocolate, but it's like a honeycomb middle.
Crunchy.
It's not a crunchy bar.
Ah,
It's like that though. That one is amazing. I love that one. Oh, it has like a funny name because it's Randy's favorite too. Like we like our heads exploded with how amazing it was. Not a crunchy bar. Oh, it's gonna drive me insane.
it's driving me insane, and I'm a chocoholic. I can't think of another
It's
honeycomb center one.
still it's like the same wrapper almost as that. I think it's like purple and orange.
I can't think of it off the top of my head, but
Can't either, but
maybe I'll come
crunchies
back
are
to you.
amazing.
Yeah,
What was
crunchies are
that?
super, super lush. Yeah, maybe I'll come back to you. Who knows? What animal do you most resonate with?
Mm, depends on my mood, but I have two, I'll call them spirit animals, a
Hmm.
wolf and a stag. Why does it keep giving me the thumbs up sign?
You're
A
doing
wolf,
that. It's loving
yeah,
it.
that's my counting thumb. So a wolf and a stag. I think wolves because they can be loners, but they're also pack animals. So I love being surrounded by people. I love having good company. I love family time and hanging out with friends, but I'm also perfectly fine on my own. And so I think that's a good one. And it's kind of the same with the stag as well. Like obviously deer travel in packs, but the stag is kind of the one that goes off on its own and does its own thing when it needs to. So I would say those two.
Cool.
One is obviously slightly more aggressive than the other, so that's why I say I have two different ones.
So one kills the other one.
That is true. That is true.
Literally.
And sometimes my personality kills it because I'm sometimes a very kind of like aggressive go-getter, and other times I'm like a homebody that would love to just curl up with a book and hang out and be slow. So I have two very differing, it just kind of depends on my mood. You could flip a coin, and one day I am just like, go, 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 like aggressive workout. Let's get it. Let's get it. The next day I'm like, I'm just going to read.
I like that you said that because I'm very similar. I'm in the flick of a coin. I'm 50-50 on like all the woo woo stuff and then the logical side of life. So fair play. Two final questions in the Koit zone. First one, favorite board game.
Ooh, I used to love the game Aggression,
Oh, I've not
which
heard of that one.
kind of looks like a Chinese checkers board, and it's a lot of fun. I used to love it growing up, and now if you put the board in front of me, I would have to review the rules, but it was one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, I don't know that one. Final question in the Koit zone. If you could only ever eat one thing for the rest of your life, what are you choosing?
Pizza.
And what
Pizza
flavor?
can be sweet or savory. Um, what flavor?
Yeah.
Gonna have to go with Hawaiian because then you get your
Okay.
sweet, your
Keep
savory.
it simple. Yeah, yeah, keep it simple.
Yep.
Right, that is the end of the Koit zone. So thanks ever so much for that. We have two final questions. The first one is, what else do you like to do in your downtime? Any activities or guilty pleasures? Now you've said walking. Is there anything else?
I play the guitar,
Oh
not as
gosh.
much as I would like, but I've been playing the guitar since I was 6 years old. So I really enjoy doing that. I need to get to practicing a bit more. Sometimes I'll work so hard that I don't want to do things that feel like practicing or doing something productive, which is terrible. But I need to get more into playing guitar again. And let's see, I really enjoy um kind of just messing around. I'll just put music on and just kind of sing along with it, especially when the house is empty like it is right now. I'll just turn on my music and just kind of sing along with it and just kind of walk around kind of mindlessly, kind of just singing. It's fun. It's a release. I love
Hey,
singing. I love music.
I
And
do as well. Here's an important question though with that. Do you walk around carrying a remote control, like a faux microphone?
no, I usually don't. I just kind of walk and do nothing with I don't know. I never have good things to do with my hands. I'm a very awkward individual. My hands just do weird things, and so I just kind of let them flail around, I guess. Or maybe I'll do like the Aguilera like hand pull down thing and the
No.
like thing. Yeah, I'll like really get after it, and yeah, just depends.
Cool.
If somebody was recording me in my own habitat, they'd probably think I was insane.
I think we're all like that.
Mhm.
Christ, some of the things we all do, we're all weird.
Mhm.
Final question. What are you currently working on? Is it editing or is there something else?
It is. I'm editing the last 4 videos from the summer tour. So I still have one more from Belgium to edit, and then one in the Netherlands and one in Germany.
Excellent. So we will see those soon, no doubt.
Yes. So Germany is the final video to edit, and then we will be right here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Bang on. Katina, thanks ever so much for your time today. It's really appreciated. Wonderful conversation. I got a lot out of it. So thanks ever so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This was a really good one. I enjoyed it.
Thank you ever so much. And thank you guys for watching. Check out the links below in the description to go and see all of Katina's socials and sites and channels, etc. Thank you.
Cheers.
To watch other KoitCast episodes, please click the image top left. To subscribe to my channel, please click the image top right. Please like and share to help KoitCast grow, and most importantly of all, please click the notification bell so you never miss an upload.